when you are disappointed in people, don't go to people to fix it. Go to God.
Wow.
Because you're disappointed in people, right?
Okay.
So why go to people to help you,
Okay.
right? Go to God. And then God will direct you to the person that can help you.
Okay.
Right. So when I'm disappointed in people, and I've been disappointed in people a lot, I have now stopped going to people to say, hey, Sarah, you disappointed me A and B, because the first thing is that they put on a defense. They put
And
on a
that's how
defense,
human
and that's
beings are.
human beings. If you come like PhD disappointed, I'm like, oh, where, how, when, who, right? You put a defense. So I have stopped going to people. I go to God, and then God will tell me, say this way, go to the person, or I'm going to send this person your way to help you walk through it. So the first thing is that go to God, because see, the positive way is to take the disappointment to God. The negative way is to take it away from God. So that is the first thing. When people disappoint you, take it to God.
Hello, and good day. This is Pastor George with Answers with the Answers, and I'm excited to come to you with episode number 8.
Wow, I can't believe we've been recording for 8 episodes. Now, if you have missed any of the episodes, we want to encourage you to go back to, our YouTube channel. Simply type Answers with the Answers and go back and listen to all the other ones that we've done. One of the most popular ones that we did was the red flags in relationship, part 1 and part 2. So you want to go back and check some of the red flags and also connect and see what new episodes are coming up.
This is an exciting moment, and guess what? Today we are dealing with disappointment. Now, disappointment is such a big topic.
Yes, it is.
And so we are just going to flow. We're just going to flow. We may touch on many different subject matters and areas. However, disappointment is such a big deal. And PH, get going.
Let's get going. As long as we live on earth,
That's right.
you will be disappointed.
Wow.
Let's start from there.
Now, question. Have you been disappointed before?
Oh my goodness. I was disappointed yesterday because I ordered Pizza Hut and I wanted a certain topping.
But I thought you are not eating pizza.
Well, yes. So that was other disappointment of my weight loss journey too. So 2 disappointments in one
Serious?
day. I ordered pizza only to get home that the toppings were the wrong toppings. I was so disappointed because for someone that was supposed to give up pizza for a period of time and really wanted to have my favorite toppings and get home, not only did I not have my favorite toppings, but it wasn't tasty. I was really disappointed.
Wow.
And I disappointed my weight loss journey because I wasn't supposed to have it, but I had it either way. So yes, I have been disappointed before.
Now, when we talk about disappointment, it's such a big lesson or big thing to deal with. We are disappointed in many different angles of life. Like PH was talking about, you can be disappointed in relationship, in your financial journey, in your dreams, your aspirations, your walk with God, friendship, appointments, many areas of our lives we use the word disappointment. And so today we want to find out what is disappointment and why is it that it hurts so much when you are disappointed, and what is behind it. How does the Bible or the wisdom of God teaches us to deal with disappointment?
Do you know that everyone on earth that walked on earth except for Jesus Christ was disappointed?
Wow.
Everyone else, from the disciples to the Pharisees, they were looking for a king to rule them.
Wow.
Jesus was the king, and they were disappointed that their king was crucified, right?
Wow.
So except for Jesus Christ, all of us have been disappointed. I remember one of the classes that I took in university, physics.
Wow.
I was so disappointed in physics because I thought I've done so well in all my courses. And then, I don't know about physics, but it just didn't align with my spirit. So let's just say
spirit or mind. This one is
spirit,
not spiritual
mind,
thing.
body, the whole 9 yards. It just didn't align. So somehow I failed the course. Okay. And I remember I called my mom. I said, Mom, I failed the course. And she said, every disappointment with physics is another appointment with God.
Wonderful.
And I didn't understand what she meant.
So she wanted God to study for you?
She wanted God to just encourage me, I guess.
Wonderful.
But the point is that disappointment is having an appointment with something and you get there and you're shortchanged.
That's right.
So your expectation is that after I go to school, I'm going to work in my field, only to
Okay.
find out there's no jobs in your field.
Wow.
Disappointment is planning your life that after I get to a certain age, I'm going to have a certain level of income, my mindset, my walk with God, married, have children. You get to that age and you're faced with something else.
All right.
And the world might say that I'm shortchanged, this is not what I planned for. But what it does to you emotionally is what is called disappointment.
Wow.
Because your physical being really doesn't change.
That's right.
It's the emotions of what just happened and not knowing how to deal with it. And so for some people, it takes a longer time. It's what to me disappointment is.
Wow. And so let's look into one of the major areas that we are usually disappointed, which is relationships.
Yes.
Whether it's romantic
Yes.
or marketplace, workplace, or
Right.
even in family. Because most of the time, people that loves you are the ones that are more likely to disappoint you.
Yes.
And so let's deal with disappointment in relationship a little
like
bit.
that.
Let's deal with disappointment
Okay.
in relationship. Have you been disappointed in relationship before?
Okay, before you came into my life, I have been disappointed by guys so much.
Wow.
So much so that
That's why you call them oblong shaped heads or
yes,
something?
yes. And the reason I was disappointed is that God helped me to last longer in relationships. I wasn't the type of girl that jumped from relationship to relationship. I was really committed. If there's any nickname, I think I should be called committed. But that's another story for another day, another episode.
But do you know the problem?
What?
You thought you were committed, but you were committed to the wrong thing.
That's the thing, right? And that's one of the sources of disappointment. When you think that you're committed to one thing, only to find out God has something else for you.
Right.
So yes, I have been disappointed in relationship many times.
Wow.
Because the agreement in the relationship was that we're gonna get married. Like nobody goes. Well, I don't know about this generation, but the goal is to go in for long term.
Right.
And then when the long term comes, you're supposed to now give a ring to seal the long term deal. But the ring wasn't coming. I got disappointed.
Wow.
And I'm not going to say how many times I got disappointed. But when you came along, you gave me an appointment, which was good.
Wow.
I just had to put that
I'm
in.
feeling like I have something in, but let's move on because, yeah.
That's a good one.
Disappointment, it's a disappointment.
Yeah, so you didn't disappoint me because you gave me an appointment of what I was looking for.
Okay.
But they gave me a disappointment.
So question here.
Of what I was
Why
looking
are
for.
people disappointed in relationship then?
Unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations.
Because the
Give
people...
me 2 or 3 of them.
See, one of the main unrealistic expectations that we have is that we project what people cannot provide for us.
Wow.
So
Say it again and explain it quickly.
So we project expectations that people are not capable of providing.
Okay.
Example, love.
Okay.
The fullness of love can only be given to you by God.
Okay.
So what the person is giving you is the filial love, a type of love, not the whole unconditional love.
Okay.
So my expectation is that this person that I'm in a business relationship with or a friendship with is supposed to give me a certain thing. But they don't even have what it takes to give me that thing.
Wow.
Because it hasn't been either revealed to them or they don't have it. But because they need to keep up this persona, then they try to not give me stories that they can do it. And then I get disappointed because that's not the expectation. The second thing is expectations of time.
Okay.
Right? We expect people to give us their undivided attention and time. They don't even have time for themselves. They don't. So if you expect someone to give you 8 hours of their time and always say, baby, you're pretty, baby, I love you, it's not realistic.
Right.
How are they going to go to work and make money and take care of the household? And yet we're the same people that will be upset that they can take up the responsibilities. But you want, baby, I love you 24/7. It's not realistic. After a while, they're lying to you.
They're lying.
Because it becomes a poem. I love you. I love you. I love you. There's no emotion attached to it. It's like reading a storybook, right? It's like those days when our teachers want us to like present something and read the book over and over. After a while, you read the book and the words become gibberish. Right? So that is the second expectation. It's unrealistic. Always say we want a godly person. You know that word, that godly person term is broad. What do you mean? They don't steal? That means that they don't lie. That means like they are sanctified, saved, and they look like God. No, they're humans. So unrealistic
I think when
expectations
people say they're looking
causes.
for a godly guy or a godly woman, it's just the foundation is very clear.
Right.
Someone who is born again and they are in the journey of their faith with Christ, growing.
Right.
I just want to make it a bit simple that
Okay.
it the other things which is value systems will be built as they grow in their journey of faith.
Right.
Right. And so when someone is saying, I want a godly guy, I want you to understand that what you are talking about is someone that is not a church boy or a church girl. Yes, church is just part of their relationship with Christ. And so
Right.
it has to be clear that they are growing in their faith with Christ.
Right.
And they are in a journey of building their relationship with Christ.
I will tell you when I was looking for a godly man to marry.
That's right.
And I remember when I found out that you were godly, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a godly man. Let me tell you, I didn't know I was getting into the deep of the godliness. Okay. I just wanted someone that loves God, goes to church. But you were like deep, deep, deep in the godly thing, right?
Okay.
And as much as it was attractive, I was shocked. So sometimes the ladies genuinely just want a godly person. I like that you clarified it. They genuinely want a godly person, but really they go, oh, you're really, really godly.
And you know the
So
amazing
that can
thing is
be
disappointment.
disappointment,
And
right?
actually, I was gonna share one of
Yes.
the marriage lessons that I was dealing with, and I met these two couples, and the lady is a Christian, and I'm talking about a Christian,
Right.
like a Christ-like, not a church girl, not a Christ-like, loves God, walks in, and the guy wanted someone that was really good, but that goes to church, but has a second life or another lifestyle somewhere.
Red flag.
And when I started doing the marriage lessons, that is when I realized, based on his questions and his suggestion, Pastor, all she does is this, all she does is this, and she's talking about someone who is intimate with the Lord. In other words, they
Right.
take time with God in the Word, in their lifestyle. Their value system is in alignment with what the Bible is saying. And this guy actually almost was about to run away. And I had to literally teach him that, listen, this is what you're looking for.
Right.
This is what you're looking for.
Disappointment.
And so he was a bit disappointed.
You wanted a slave queen.
But yes, he wanted someone that looked like a Christian,
Right.
but I also want to put it this way.
Right.
Just because you are Christ-like doesn't mean that you must be boring.
Right. Because then you disappoint your partner.
Yes, and that disappointment,
Right.
I've also had a lot of meeting with a lot of people because, for example, there was one, I'm talking to adults, and there was one that, this one, the guy was very, very horny. The guy wants more sex.
Oh boy.
And the lady is very
Conservative.
and very super sacrilegious, and
a
so
word.
the issue came to me, and the complaint was that, Pastor, this one, she's like, I don't want to use the word, but she's the same word. The word she used was, she's like Mother Mary, like
Aw.
and so
You know
I
what
just
Mary
want to say
Mary?
that being Christ-like is not synonymous to being boring.
Right.
And that has brought a lot of disappointment in many marriages.
Right.
And so the ability to have that relationship develop into fun,
Right.
into friendship,
Right.
it's what also can avoid disappointment
Right.
in relationship.
And one of the other disappointment that people face, and I will be very blunt, is that they go into the relationship, get married, and find out that their spouse is abusive. Not just verbally, but they kind of disregard their feelings. They ignore them. Verbal abuse, and God forbid, physical abuse. And they get disappointed that, who were you before and who are you now, right? So there is that shock, that emotional stagnation, that who and what have I gotten myself into? And because there's a stigma attached to how people sometimes deal with disappointment, you almost feel as though this is my lot, this is my norm. I just have to accept disappointment.
Wow.
I was thinking about Moses and how Moses got disappointed in the Bible. Think about it. The minute you're born, a king is looking to kill you.
Right.
Okay. Not only do you find out that a king sought to kill you, your mother put you in a basket on water, you get adopted by a wealthy family, you now learn about your people, you went from being raised up in the palace and now tending sheep. Now, if that's not disappointment, I don't know what is. Okay, where now people are waiting on you, but now you are in the field tending sheep.
That's right.
And then you come to your people reject you.
Right.
So I think about Moses, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of disappointment.
That's right.
So most people will go back to the palace and say, you know what, forget all this. I like the palace, right? So when you're disappointed, where do you go and who do you turn to? That's
Awesome.
my question.
So the question of where do you turn to when you're disappointed is, there's this big, in the Christian world that people usually say, and I want to maybe explain it, that, one disappointment is an appointment with God.
Yes, like my mom said to me.
Yeah, so that a disappointment is an appointment with God. And
Right.
it is really, really true. That because what disappointment does is that it shatters your expectations and your inability of people to meet that expectation that you had.
Right.
And we know that God is the only one that is able to meet our needs.
Totally,
That is able to meet us at a point of need in a very realistic way.
Right.
And so when we are not true to ourselves, His word is able to bring it into an alignment of making us come to a place of basically seeing what is real and what is true.
Right.
When you are disappointed, when it's disappointed, I want to bring it this one thought that when you were talking about, I thought about. When how disappointment works is, of course, you have unrealistic expectations in relationship, in planning, in event, whatever it is. Most of the time in relationship, and this is what I've realized, and I tell most people that are courting or dating, whenever there is courtship and dating, the reason why people are disappointed is because it's a relationship between two actors. It doesn't matter how, most of the time in the courtship stage, people act. People act.
Question, did you act when you were courting me?
I don't think I acted, but I thought that it was not everything you were ready to know. And so things that were revealed to you with time. As you got to know one level, the next level was revealed to you. Like, for example, I was not gonna tell you, oh, so do you know I pray throughout the night? Then what if all of a sudden you begin to realize, okay, so then I will not be sleeping, you will not be sleeping on my bed. Here's my sex life gone.
Right.
Yeah, so
right.
I didn't. So there are many things that, because we were God help us to be very open. And I want to put it this way. People are disappointed because there is not clear expectation.
Right.
And what we did was that we brought the clear expectations right up front.
We did.
We were not in this relationship because we wanted to sleep with each other. We were not in this relationship because we wanted to, have relationship goals as everyone wanted.
Right.
We knew purpose. We knew that we are in this for purpose, the kingdom.
So to avoid disappointment, and based on what you said that, it's based on two actors, should I check out? Because I don't want to be in a relationship with an actor.
Well, the truth is that
Right.
you are acting and they're acting.
But
Because
are they
let me put it
really
this way.
acting though?
Yes. Let me
Okay.
tell you the reason why they're
Yes.
acting. They're acting, and it's not necessarily like people don't want to. They don't want to accept it,
Okay.
because they are acting. Because when you showed up, you were full of makeup, you're full of hair, you're full of body waste, so that your body will show like figure 8. You were full of whatever it was, and yet when you got home on the married day, there was none of that. That
So
is.
could they also? Because I'm also
And hold on, the guy also came all wet up, hairline clean,
Right.
like, everything on point, dressed up.
Okay.
You didn't even know the guy doesn't shower 3 days. She only
I
showers
hope
twice
not.
a week.
I hope
And then
not.
when you get home, now you are seeing all these things. Now, what I'm saying is that
Because I'm thinking that is the girl or the guy bring in their best because that's what they know is their best.
Yes, and that is good. But really, even though it is the best and the guy is bringing their best, the lady is bringing their best, really, when they meet the day and they are living in a house, and at that point, it has not been discussed that, listen, we love each other and we are in this for this purpose.
Okay.
And it is not because of how you only look, and it's not how only you presented yourself, but I like you for the fullness of the package you have.
Pastor George, so question.
Go ahead.
To avoid disappointment, do you want the girl to show up raw? Because the guys will run.
Absolutely.
Pastor George, okay, I'll tell you one thing, okay? I used to wear my natural hair for the longest time. And then I remember, we got into the wig season, right? So we're like, okay, I'm going to put on wig or not. And I remember the first time I had a wig on, I didn't realize that, like, your temple and your band is all, like, stretched. So I remember I came home, I took my wig, and I put it, like, I just hanged it. And your first comment to me was, we don't do that here. And I remember I'm like, oh, you're right, we don't do that here. Now, what if the girl goes to, the first date and show up with that wig and themselves, and the guy's like, sweetheart, have you seen the Instagram models? Why you like that
No,
girl has
what we are discussing here is not, it's
disappointment.
not about just the presentation.
Right.
You see, what we are talking about is we want ladies to look good. We want men to look good.
Right.
What I'm saying is that usually, and that is why people take so long for dating and courtship. Usually in courtship, you cannot know everything about the person.
100%.
And that is
agree.
what I'm talking about. That
Okay.
what makes people disappointed is that just you are not able to know everything. Just realize that we have a goal, we have a purpose, and we are not going to be disappointed. For example, what you are talking about, we discuss it way ahead of time.
Right.
Right.
So then I guess what you're saying is that when they're actors because they're giving you bits and pieces of themselves.
Exactly.
They're not showing the full picture.
Exactly.
It's not because they come in with intention
To fake
to trick
you.
and
No,
okay,
no,
that's
no,
what I
no.
wanted to
It
clarify.
It can be
Yeah,
sometimes,
some
but
can
most
be,
of the time,
right.
no.
It's
Now,
right.
they said that we don't have a lot of time. How
Okay.
do you deal with disappointment? Let's deal with it.
I
Let's handle a
think
few
the
of them.
first one is when you are disappointed in people, don't go to people to fix it, go to God.
Wow.
Because you're disappointed in people, right?
Okay.
So why go to people to help you, right? Go to God. And then God will direct you to the person that can help you,
Okay.
right? So when I'm disappointed in people, and I've been disappointed in people a lot, I have now stopped going to people to say, hey, Sarah, you disappointed me A and B. Because the first thing is that they put on a defense. They put
And
on a
that's how
defense,
human
and that's
beings are.
human beings. If you come like PhD disappointed, I'm like, oh, where, how, when, who, right? You put a defense. So I have stopped going to people. I go to God, and then God will tell me, say this way, go to the person, or I'm going to send this person your way to help you walk through it. So the first thing is that go to God, because see, the positive way is to take the disappointment to God. The negative way is to take it away from God. So that is the first thing. When people disappoint you, take it to God. You know, it's like being bitten by a dog and asking a dog, how can I escape a bite?
Let me share it this way. Because we are dealing with disappointment in relationship, most of the time, the first thing you can do with when it comes to disappointment is the fact that all relationships that is leading to marriage or in relation that is married must have accountability partners.
Okay.
Always. Mentors, people that can help.
Right.
Because the truth of the matter is that disappointment and discussion and things that shocks and hurts and will come up.
Right.
It will come up.
Right.
And there will be days you may not have the right mind to deal with it, because when you are discussing, they are not seeing it in that right angle. And so at that point, that mentor, that accountability person will be able to bring the two of you, because the two of you have one goal. And whatever you are disappointed about, it's not to destroy that relationship, but it's to make it stronger. And that is why in the scriptures, everyone that was disappointed that came to God, you realize that they were elevated at one point or the other. If you look at all throughout the scripture. So this is one of the ways to deal with disappointment in relationship. You have to make sure that the one you're looking up to can bring, because when the two of you are dealing with it, when one is emotional and one is emotional, you will not be able to be in your right mind to bring that to a place of peace. It takes time. As you grow in relationship with the right mindset, you're able to deal with any subject matter. Right. So
I think, and in addition to that, I believe another way that you want to handle disappointment is to check yourself. Are you always exposed to situations that disappoint you? Right? Because some people keep exposing themselves to situations that will disappoint them.
Okay.
If your expectations are consistently unrealistic, if your expectations are consistently not what people can meet, if you refuse to bring expectations to God, then you are always setting up yourself to be disappointed.
Okay.
And when you get disappointed, some people, believe it or not, they love the victim mentality, whereby it's like, oh, poor you, are you okay again, cry on my shoulder. It doesn't do you any good. Then at this point, you are now building an altar of disappointments in your life. And it's something that you genuinely don't want to deal with it. Like, you always enjoy the pity. You enjoy the encouragement all the time. When would you also now begin to put boundaries and set boundaries and enforce the boundaries? It's one thing to put boundaries. It's another thing to enforce boundaries, to say, you know what? I don't really appreciate how this gentleman speaks to me. So I'm going to put a boundary of how he talks to me by the way I will respond to him the next time he disappoints me. Right? So you have to also now step back and say, what am I doing to put myself and expose myself to all disappointment?
This is what I'm thinking. Maybe it probably has to be a part 2 is, what about when someone gives you, let's say, a proposal?
Okay.
Whether a proposal in relationship. And that proposal and they disappoint you.
Okay.
So in other words, now there is a deep investment.
Yes.
So they propose, and I've seen that many times with various reasons. So maybe we can get into that, where your expectations are real. Both of you set the expectations, and now all of a sudden things begin to change. The guy is changing, the lady is changing, focus is changed. It can be whatever the reasons may be, which maybe we can look into some of the reasons that can cause. Because I there are people that will be watching that maybe they've gone to that point where they've had a moment of relationship that it's gone so far. By the way, I always encourage you, don't be in a relationship for so long. Don't date a guy for so long, because don't date a lady for so long. What are you looking for in dating someone? You cannot figure them out as much as you know them at age 1 or 1 year or 6 months. And so that is why clear goals are important. So let's look into that.
But to that point, to your point, the person that comes to mind is Mary.
Okay.
Mary and Joseph had a date set for their wedding. She was actually engaged.
Right.
There was a clear path to their cultural rules. We're going to be engaged, then we'll be married, then we'll consummate, then we'll have a baby, we'll raise our family. And then her plans was intercepted by God. Okay. How did she deal with it? Let your will be done.
Okay.
Now, because not all of us are married, walking around, you need help.
Right.
Because that is not just a shock. It can affect your career. It can affect your future. It can affect your walk with God. It could just make you stagnant. It can affect different areas in your life. So at this point, you want to say, God, lead me to someone that can bring some soul healing to my life.
Wow.
And genuinely want it, desire it. And I truly believe God will send you the right person. The scriptures will come, the encouragements will come, and you come out of the situation better instead of being bitter.